Coming up, joining us in just a moment will be Olivia Reiner. She writes for the Inquirer, where the new look of Inquirer Sports, where fans can read, watch, and listen to their favorite reporters and columnists. Go to inquirer.com/sports. How are you today, Olivia?
Hello. Yeah, lots to talk about. This is an exciting day for the Eagles, coming off of a big NFC Championship win.
Absolutely. So they forced a bunch of turnovers. I have your story in front of you where you talk about how the Eagles preach and practice attacking the football. Tell us a little bit about what you were talking about in the story and obviously what we saw from the defense and the special teams yesterday in the big win.
Yeah, I mean, what you saw is what the Eagles have been practicing extensively over the course of the season, and something that has become a bigger emphasis coming out of the bye week. That was an issue that the Eagles had dealt with through their first four games of the season, struggling to generate turnovers, and then also at the same time turning the ball over, and it's not a formula for any kind of success. So it became more of a renewed emphasis for Nick Sirianni after the bye week. And I talked to all three of the forced fumble players who forced fumbles in the game yesterday. And talking to Will Shipley, who had the big special teams forced fumble, he was talking about how their circuits that they do on Thursdays, the first thing that they do in practice is they work on those takeaways. And he said that it has really helped him, especially as a player who's not a defensive player, who doesn't really have an extensive background in making tackles and trying to knock the ball out. He said he feels like he has grown a lot throughout the course of the season in working on that particular skill set of his. So, yeah, Shipley had a great night, not only on special teams, but also getting to see some action late in the game, getting to score a touchdown. Saquon Barkley was jazzed about that. But then, of course, we also saw Zach Bond and Oren Burks continue to make big contributions to this team. Burks with yet another forced fumble in these playoffs, and it feels like Bond has been doing this all season long, and he has. It's the reason he's an all-pro player and a Pro Bowler as well in his first year as a full-time starter and inside linebacker. So, yeah, it starts from up top with Nick Sirianni emphasizing it, and the players both on defense and on special teams have really rallied around this mindset of constantly having the ball on your mind and constantly going for it when they're also going to make the tackle.
Yeah, the takeaways have been unbelievable, but there's also a guy, Nolan Smith. How about 4 sacks and 16 tackles in the playoffs? This guy's become possessed, just out of nowhere in my eyes. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it does seem like it is out of nowhere, but it really has been 2 years in the making, this ascent for Nolan Smith. I know we didn't really get to see a lot of him last year because he was playing in such a deep group, behind such a deep group, so many veterans ahead of him, and Hassan Reddick, Josh Sweat, Brandon Graham. Even when he started, Derek Barnett was still around too. So it's a deep room. Smith didn't get on the field very often, and he kind of had to deal with the questions, the skepticism from the public of, is this guy a bust? And it's hard to deal with that label and assign that label only 1 year into their career when he's so young and has still so much to learn and to grow. But I think he did a really good job of tuning that out and just focusing on learning, focusing on being in this room with all these veterans. How can I take their experiences and try to take something away from it and grow not only through practice and through those conversations and in the meeting room, but then ultimately when he was able to get on the field, trying to make the most of those opportunities. And you saw in the preseason this year, he was playing lots of snaps late into preseason when a lot of those players who you would anticipate having bigger roles and during the season aren't getting as much playing time. You think back to that third game against the Minnesota Vikings, and Nolan Smith played a lot, and that was by design. They wanted to continue to see him get reps, get more experience. Vic Fangio has said that the only way that these players are going to learn is through actual game reps, game experience, and that's what Nolan Smith got early on. He had a good showing in his very first game of the regular season against the Green Bay Packers. And once Brandon Graham and Bryce Huff both sustained injuries around the halfway point of the season, it was Nolan Smith's time. And he has certainly risen to the occasion. He has only continued to get better with more responsibility. So this this is a 2-year process in the making. Like, I don't think this is like an overnight success. I think he has worked every step of the way to get to where he is now, and it's paying dividends for the Eagles.
We're speaking with Olivia Reiner. She does a tremendous job covering the Eagles for the Inquirer. On the other side of the ball, Jaylen Hurts. All week, the talk nationally and a lot even locally was about Jayden Daniels. And I know Jaylen Hurts keeps to himself and he keeps his emotions in check and tries to keep the main thing. Do you think he had just a little bit of extra motivation by all the talk about Daniels when he's the guy who's already been to a Super Bowl, and obviously we saw how he played yesterday?
Yeah, I think Jaylen Hurts at least outwardly claims to be someone who is not externally motivated like that. I think the motivation for him comes internally. But however, whatever he used to motivate himself, regardless if that came internally or externally yesterday, it certainly worked. I mean, he had an incredible game in the pocket after a week of speculation as to whether or not he would be as mobile as he has been in these playoffs after suffering that knee injury against the Rams. And ultimately, he was mobile when he needed to be. He was a threat on the ground when he needed to be. He was certainly not racking up tons and tons of rushing yards, but he was able to move out there. You saw that with his, he had the rushing touchdown, and then he had a pair of push touchdowns, which I think he also, you have to give him some credit there too. Again, dealing with this injury, that can't be understated. So yeah, I think that the fact that he was able to play as well as he did despite the injury, but particularly in the passing game, it was mostly a really clean game. I think one of the big questions was going to be how he was going to fare against pressure after taking 7 sacks against the Rams last week, and it was a lot better this time around. He only took 2 sacks yesterday. There were some blitz issues here and there, some protection issues, but I thought for the most part, Hurts was making really good decisions out there. He wasn't holding onto the ball for too long. He was getting it out, throwing it away when the receivers weren't there, when the answers weren't there, which, sometimes that's what you got to do. So ultimately, overall, really great game from Hurts, and definitely I think fans and the team, everyone, I think, should be encouraged by what they saw yesterday as the Eagles prepare to head to New Orleans to take on the Chiefs.
You want to talk about being encouraged? That guy in the backfield, number 26, what he's doing is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, no. I know it's not easy what he's doing, but it seems like any time he touches the ball, it could be 6.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you kind of just hold your breath every time he touches the ball because you never know if he could take it to the house. And that's exactly what he did. The very first offensive play, first play of the game for the Eagles is Saquon Barkley taking it to the house. Talking to Zach Vaughn after the game in the locker room, he was saying that he was still sitting on the bench getting oxygen because the Commanders' opening drive was about 8 minutes, 18 plays, and he was still getting oxygen, trying to catch his breath, and then all of a sudden Saquon Barkley has taken it to the house, and you got to get back off the bench and get back out there. It's a pretty good problem to have if you're a defense. But yeah, it's one way to not be able to catch your breath. But regardless, no, the Eagles certainly happy that they have Saquon Barkley on their team going into this upcoming game against the Chiefs. Yet another awesome day against the Commanders on the ground, especially notable when you think about the last time the Eagles played the Commanders in Week 16 when the Commanders were able to bottle up the run game pretty well. I mean, after Jaylen Hurts came out, the Commanders were pretty much able to sell out to stop Saquon Barkley in the run, loading up the box. And this time around, no matter what answer the Commanders tried to throw at the Eagles, Saquon was able to handle it. He had really good blocking up front. So all in all, another great day on the ground for Barkley, and again, going to be a really big, important factor in this, in the Eagles' success, potentially going to the Super Bowl.
Well, Olivia, we appreciate the time. Will you be heading down to New Orleans?
Yes, I will be. So I've got to pack some. I guess it's supposed to be warmer there than it is here, although I know it snowed the other week.
Yeah,
but I got to go dig through my closet to find some warmer weather clothes.
Yeah, getting ready. Well, listen, safe travels. We really appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we get an update from you once you get down there. So safe travels, and hopefully we talk to you soon.
Of course, anytime.
Thank you. That was Olivia Reiner on the Comcast Business Hotline. Does a tremendous job covering the Eagles for the Inquirer, inquirer.com/sports. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. If you want more of this content, make sure you like and subscribe. And you know you can do that kind of over here if you want more of the best show ever.